What's going on, guys? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today we are ranking our favorite Sixers draft targets. The NBA draft is just a few days away, and I've got an amazing couple of guests here. You know him as Sean Barnard, man, the dude for Philly Sports Network, the Pig Swap podcast, among Clutch Sports. Like, what's going on, Sean? What's happening?
Yeah, it's primetime draft season. I feel like we've been ripping through every prospect at this point, but I love it. So I'm ready to keep diving into it and rank these guys.
Yeah, let's do it. And then I've got, for the first time ever, hopefully the first of many, he is Romp. What's going on, man?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk Sixers. It's going to be a eventful week. I'm excited.
Love it, man. So today we are going to start from S, superior tier, and work ourselves all the way down to F tier. We'll probably go through, I don't know, like 15 or 20 prospects or so. We'll kind of see how this thing goes. If you're watching us live, be sure to smash that subscribe button. Comment with us if you think there's a prospect we are missing. I'm going to throw this down to you, Sean. Do you have any prospects that you would consider an S tier?
I would throw Tari Eason as an S tier. That's a guy I think pretty much checks every single box the Sixers are looking for. I don't think he's probably going to be there at 23, but if he is, I think that's a straight up no-brainer pick and would be absolutely awesome. So for me, I think he's in a little bit class of all the other guys that I have here.
Sean says Tari Eason, S tier. Any thoughts on that pick?
I agree. I mean, if he's there, that would be a dream come true. But like Sean said, I doubt he's going to be there. But I agree that he should be the S tier.
I was watching an NBA draft show on YouTube last week with my friend, and we were watching the draft. And you know where he was selected? Number 22. And I can't even imagine, like, after the bloodbath of last year's draft when it went bang, bang, bang with Cam Thomas and Bones Highland, like, oh my God, if Tari Eason gets picked right before the Sixers selection, I would absolutely be destroyed. It's just immense defensive upside, amazing at cutting to the basket. I think his score, he's just scratching the surface of his scoring potential. I fully agree. I have him as an S tier. Let's throw it to Romp. Do you have any other S tiers you want to throw on this big board?
I would say Dalen Terry from Arizona. A lot of people are high on him, but that wingspan, that size, he can handle at like a point guard. And it seems like he has that it factor because I saw like a quote from his Portland workout, and he was asked about, like, you know, being in the late 20s and stuff like that, projection. And he was like, they're going to regret that in a few years. I'm going to be one of the better players in the draft. So you could tell he wants to be great. And I think he's willing to be a role player who does the little things. So I like Dalen Terry.
Yeah, 100% S tier for me. He was my number 2 on my big board. I want to see the ball in his hands. I think this guy can do pretty much a little bit of everything. He's a great passer, amazing length, and a great defensive player. I think he checks off a lot of boxes for the Sixers. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I love Dalen Terry. Probably my favorite player that we're going to talk about. I had him a little bit lower than S tier. I always had him more in the A to B range just because I think he's kind of a more realistic target. There's still, as much as I love him, I wouldn't consider him completely polished yet. There's still a lot that he kind of has to fine-tune and get working at the next level. I still stand by the logic. I think he was overshadowed a lot at Arizona by Benedict Mathurin, especially. I think there's more that he can do that he's been unable to show. I would be thrilled if the Sixers walk away with Dalen Terry, so I have no problem with him being up there.
All right. Dalen Terry and Tari Eason are in our S tiers. I'm looking at my big board on my rankings. I don't have another S tier. Does anybody else have an S tier on their list? All right. I'm going to start it off with an A tier. And I know this guy wasn't found on a lot of our top 5 big boards that we did several days ago, but he's a guy that I really like a lot. I think it's a clear fit, and that is Jake LaRavia. Jake LaRavia, I'm going to throw in the A tier here. He just impacts the game in a ton of different ways. He can handle the ball. He's amazing in transition. He's actually pretty strong defensively. He's a good passer. His intangibles are just through the roof. And he's a great shooter. Absolutely great shooter that can defend on the perimeter. I'm going to go Jake LaRavia, and I'm interested to see what Sean says about this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm as in on Jake LaRavia as I think a lot of people are. There's a lot to like in terms of like, I guess my concerns are it hasn't been a ton of shooting volume. I believe it was 2.2 attempts from 3 per game. The 1.7 steals, 1.0 blocks look great, but I have a little questions about kind of the foot speed at the NBA level. I just feel like he's a little bit of a tweener in terms of position, whether I see him as kind of a stretch four, kind of a wing. He does a little bit of a lot, but I wouldn't say he's like an expert at anything, which to me is sometimes like a concern with guys. I would have him probably in my C tier if I'm classifying it, but
whoa.
Yeah, I think he's one of the guys I think I'm more out on than most people.
I love it. Here we go. All right, Romp, where are you at with Jake LaRavia? I want to hear this.
I like him. I like his shot. I think he would fit well with the Sixers, but I'm not too high on him. I wouldn't be going crazy if we drafted him. I think he has like a low ceiling, just like kind of a guy who shoots threes, plays defense. I don't know. I feel like if he went to the Warriors now, I think he could be something better, but he's coming to the Sixers, so I got to trust their development, and I really don't trust it, to be honest. But I would say, like, I think B's good. I think the B's good.
All right. We'll settle with a B. We're settling with a B. Let's go in reverse. Romp, do you have any A tiers on your list?
I've been a fan of this dude. I've been saying just draft him. Wendell Moore Jr. from Duke. I think we could even trade back to get him, so that would be nice. But I just think he does everything. He could handle every once in a while. And I think he also is a player who got overshadowed by, like, you know, all the top prospects at Duke. And he would also play a similar role that he had at Duke with the Sixers. And I really believe in his defense. I think he can get up in guys and really hound them and annoy them. And I think he'll be impactful right away. So I really believe in him.
A tier for Wendell Moore. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I like Wendell Moore. I'd probably have him in my B tier personally. It was interesting what you said, Rob. We talked about this when you came on Pick Swap the other day, kind of how there's an appeal to players in college who like played a similar role that they're going to be in the NBA. And that's kind of the case with Wendell Moore. Christian Braun's another guy I'm sure we'll get into, but that we were talking about it then. But Wendell Moore, I think the appeal for a lot of people is they think there's like kind of more to him. He was obviously a super high recruit, projected to be extremely like have more of an impact than he really did at Duke. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I think the player that he is still going to be an impactful one. The improvements he made were super notable. Shot 21% from three his freshman year, 30% his sophomore year, and then 41.3% this year. So love that it's going in that direction. He put a little more on his plate in that regard. I like him. I think he's a pretty like low floor kind of prospect, which I also like. So I would have no problem walking away with Wendell Moore, especially if they move down a little bit to get him.
Shit. This is one I'm definitely in between. For me, it's either A or B. I think we're right on it. I really like Wendell Moore a lot. You nailed it, Sean. Like there's something to be said about a guy with a skill set coming right in the NBA that should be able to flourish from day one. I mean, you look at this guy during the preseason of his junior year and during the postseason, during the ACC tournament and NCAA tournament, 15 points a game, 35 minutes per, 49% from the floor, 42% from deep. And he did all of that, in big moments as an off-ball secondary option. So this is a guy that can efficiently play as a complementary piece. I'm good. I'm going to go A. I really like it. I'm good. I'm going to stick with this. I think the shot's going to translate. He provides that length, that athleticism, that size, that defense the Sixers really, truly lack. I'm going to roll with A, and I think this is going to be the first of many, at least on my end. What about you, Sean? Do you have any other A's?
Yeah, I'm going to throw EJ Liddell in there. I know it's a popular Twitter name, been a guy pretty much off the rip of the draft that everyone's been excited about. The thing that I love about him most is, I just think he's a perfect model for the modern day stretch four. I think he's going to translate well that way. He's a super high character guy, super high worker. You have to respect the fact that this was a guy who flirted with going in the draft last year, was pretty much told that he wasn't quite good enough, had to work on these things, and he just improved in all those areas he was asked, improved across the board, up to scoring average, did everything. He can block shots, he can defend the rim, which to me is super appealing when we talk about like having another guy on the floor that can do that besides Joel Embiid, I think would be absolutely awesome. He's a very good rebounder, which is super necessary on the Sixers team. I think he's a very much do the gritty work, do the little things, and I think he'd be awesome.
Yeah, you're going to get no complaints out of me. I'm good with an A tier for Jake Lloyd. He has the length, play, and the shot. The rim protection to play some small ball 5 even. I think he's a great fit. What about you, Rob?
I agree. I think he said everything, and I think a lot of Sixers fans know EJ Liddell, so A for me.
All right. Let's keep it rolling. Does anybody have any other A tiers on their list? I'll go. I'll go one, and I want to hear everyone else's thoughts. It's a guy that they worked out today, I believe. I think Pompey just reported this an hour or two ago, but Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy is a dude, 6'4", bucket getter out of the G League Ignite. He's got deep range on his jump shot. He pretty much he can score and get to any spot on the court that he wants. The Sixers do not have anything like this on their bench right now, and that is a bucket getter. He's got a lot of other concerns for sure. There's some major question marks, but in terms of fit, in terms of need, in terms of win now, I think Jaden Hardy could step right on this bench and put shots up, and get his own shot and get separation and get to the rim, although he struggles a little bit with finishing. But I'm going to try and see what you guys think about Jaden Hardy. Let's lead off with Romp.
I would say I'll probably put him in the B tier, just because of the weaknesses. But his scoring ability, 5 years down the road, his scoring is going to be insane. So just imagine 5 years down the road, Tyrese Maxey, and then you got another scorer, Jaden Hardy. It's solidifying your future in terms of scoring. So B for me.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I'm not as high on Jaden Hardy. I think he's a likely pick. I think if he's there at 23, the Sixers probably take him. It's a very Daryl Morey pick in terms of this guy was pretty much expected to be a top 5 pick conversation at the conclusion of the year, going into it with the G League. He underperformed. It's tough to judge a guy purely off just he played 25 games in the G League. That's what we're really looking at under the magnifying glass here. So I think there is more than he really showed. But I have a hard time for a guy that's known as a bucket getter and a scorer who's shooting 30% from 3, shooting 37% from the field. Just doesn't quite sit right. Shot 39% at the rim in the half court. That also is very concerning to me. I do think there's something there, but for me, I have a tough time taking this guy when I think there's so many guys that are better fits for the Sixers. So I personally have him in my C tier.
C tier. Oh no.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're about to settle for B. We'll settle for B. Catch and shoot though. Catch and shoot, 37% in the catch and shoot from 3. Definitely could be a little off ball too. All right. We're settling for a B. Jaden Hardy's going to a B. Anybody else have any other A tiers?
Do not.
Nobody has any other A tiers.
Yeah, I think I was a little critical here, but that's okay.
It's all good, man. Oh man,
Jaden Hardy in the summer league would be fun to watch, though.
He's gonna put up at least 20 a game, at least, and at least 30 shots a game too. So I've got my next tier is really interesting, and I'm debating if I put one of these in the A tier. Yeah, I know this is a guy that Sean is not too high on, but it is Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is a ball handler, a guy that shot really well, 40% from 3. He can create his own shot. He can get separation as a scorer. He's got some intriguing defensive potential. Very good length, very good off the catch, and very good on spot up situations. So I'm going to throw Jalen Williams out there. We're going to lead off with Romp because I already know what Sean thinks. So what's your grade on Jalen Williams?
I think I low-key might put him in the D category.
Oh no!
Wow.
I don't know. It's just something. So I don't know. I watch him. I like him, but there's something that just seems. I think he's just slow, in my opinion. He just seems slow defensively, a little slow offensively. And I don't like him that much. I think his shot is beautiful. Like his mechanics are wonderful, but he just seems a little too slow for me. And with us wanting athleticism and stuff like that, I don't know. I don't think I could do Jalen Williams.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit higher on him than Romp from the sounds of it there. I wouldn't consider myself like a super pro Jalen Williams guy. I guess my concerns with him are he's obviously a super high usage guy at Santa Clara against a kind of questionable matchups, and it's going to be a major leap in competition making that NBA jump. And it took him legitimately like 3 years to kind of hit his stride, which I think if it took him 3 years against that level of competition, I think the NBA is going to be a difficult jump to make. But I mean, he has the intangibles, he has the frame, pretty much all his combine numbers, even like all the running and the cuts and everything looked pretty impressive too, which was good to see. The Iverson step over tattoo on his leg definitely bumped him up a little bit in my mind in cool points. I would have to go B tier. I think I have him a little bit ahead of both LaRavia and Jaden Hardy in my mind, but B tier is where I comfortably have him.
All right, we're putting Jalen Williams in D tier. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'll bump it up to the C. I was way too critical.
All right, let's roll on. Oh, we've Mitch in the house. What's going on, Mitch? What's happening, man? All right. Anybody else have any other A tiers? Going once, going twice. Moving on to B tier. Let's lead off to Sean. Do you have any other B tiers?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw Christian Braun in there. I love this guy. I think he's he seems to be talked about just like a notch below all kind of the rest of the guys that we're bringing up, and I just don't kind of think that's right. I think his game's going to translate pretty immediately. I think in the short term, he's going to be a player that has an impact. He's going to be content with his role and kind of a similar thing to what he did at Kansas. Sneaky athlete. He's way more athletic than he's kind of given credit. I think he's going to be just fine matching up with everybody. Decent shooter. And just can do a little bit of it all. I think pretty much across the board, I think his skill set is better than he gets credit for it. And I think it's going to translate to the NBA. I think he's a pretty surefire role player.
All right. What about you, Romp?
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say Christian Braun. I would put him in. I would even be willing to bump him up to the A tier, but I think the B tier is fair enough. He kind of reminds me of Wendell Moore in terms of like being an NBA ready player who's going to step in right away and play a role that he had in college. And he just seems to have that it factor as well. Like the big moments didn't scare him in the NCAA tournament run, and he hit a bunch of clutch shots. And he was very impactful all throughout his time at Kansas.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I'd probably be. Yeah, let's keep it in the B tier. So Ron, what did you say? You said closer to A?
Yeah, I would say I would be willing to go up to A, but B tier is good.
All right. I'm also going to stick with B tier. I have no problems with Christian Braun. He's one of those guys that like I'd be happy with. I'd be happy if they ended up with him. Not ecstatic, but he does a lot of the things that the Sixers really need. He's not an elite athlete. He's not the best creator with the ball. But if everything clicks, man, like he's that potential two-way wing guard hybrid that clearly has a really kind of almost like a Wesley Matthews type of vibe to him. I think it could be really, really good. So let's keep him at a B. Who's next? I think it's you, Romp. You're next.
Me. B tier. I'm gonna throw it to you. Because Christian Braun. He threw off my style with Christian Braun.
All right, I'm gonna go with my next B tier, and I'm gonna go with an off-ball weapon, and we just covered him recently, and that is Kendall Brown out of Baylor. Dude can jump through the roof. One of the best athletes in this draft. Amazing touch at the rim, explosive leaping ability, amazing in transition, 1.24 points per possession, 82nd percentile. Just a lob machine. Him next to James Harden would be really, really fun to watch. And I just think he's a great fit in this like modern NBA. Like he's the wing that they need. He's a great multiple position defender. And you're not going to be getting shot volume. You're not going to be getting shot creation out of this guy. But clearly there's a fit. I'm going to throw Kendall. I always get Wendell Moore and Kendall Brown. Dude, for some reason. I think it's the Kendall and Wendell thing. But Kendall Brown. Any thoughts on Kendall Brown as a B?
I like Kendall Brown a lot. I think this guy's going to end up kind of being one of the steals of the draft. He was kind of what we talked about with guys being like overshadowed for what they can do in college. He came in the same class as Jeremy Sochan, who's going to be a probably top 10, pretty confidently top like 15 pick. And they kind of just do a lot of the same things. They're similar in style, similar in position. And Sochan just kind of outplayed him a lot this year. I think it took a lot out of what it took away from a lot of what Brown does do, which I think with him out of the picture, he's going to have a much better impact in the NBA level. He'd be able to guard, be the most versatile defender the Sixers would have. The athleticism jumps off the charts for this guy. I know he didn't shoot a lot of threes, 1.2 3-point attempts per game, but he's for sure a little bit of a reluctant shooter, which is concerning, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the stroke. I think he's going to grow into it. He was the number 10 prospect coming out of high school, and there is like a pedigree there. I like Kendall Brown a lot. I'll lock him in for B tier as well, and I think he's very much in the Sixers range too.
All right, back-to-back Bs. What about you, Romp?
I like how he's very switchable, and he could be another rim protector next to Embiid, so that would be great. My only thing is I don't like his shot form at all, and it's pretty slow, and it scares me. So that bumps him down to the C tier for me, just because that shot is I don't like it at all. It disturbs me, to be honest.
Fair. All right,
but that switchability though, I would love that.
Should we throw him like mid BC? We go with that?
That works. Yeah.
Anybody else have a B?
Ochai Agbaji, I also have as a B for.
You think he's going to be there?
I think there's a chance.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's a guy I could see slipping. He's another guy I think could be continually overlooked. We can leave him out if you guys would rather, but I think he's kind of being brushed over in this draft.
I think it's terrific.
Yeah,
I think I would put him in the A tier.
Wow. I'd put him in the S tier.
Yeah, that's what I meant, the S tier, because I think he's like that. Like he's like a slight tier above Tari Eason for me.
Wow.
We covered him last year, and I remember just going nuts about how he just transformed his game from being like an off-ball guy to an on-ball guy. He can shoot. Like I love Ochai Agbaji. He's terrific, but I'm a little hesitant because I definitely don't think he's going to be there.
Okay, we can leave him off.
Yeah, let's not jinx it. Let's just
anybody else have any B tiers in this draft? I think we covered a good amount here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess no, I don't have him as a B tier. Yeah. All right, let's move on to C tier. I'll throw one out. Can I throw one out?
Yeah.
Let's do Marjon Beauchamp. As a C tier, I think the guy has a ton of athleticism, great defensive potential. He's more of a downhill kind of guy for the G League, but I think he's got just worlds of potential and a great fit for the Sixers as a guy who has lots and lots of athleticism, can, finish above the rim, and he can defend multiple positions. Let's start with you, Romp. What's your thoughts on Marjon Beauchamp?
I think he's probably the best cutter in the draft, so that would be nice because no one likes to move off ball in the Sixers for some reason. He's athletic freak, very switchable, and he's going to be one of our better defenders if he, develops. So, yeah, I would have him in the C tier. His offensive game really would put him. It could launch him to the A tier if it develops, but there's a lot of question marks, and we just haven't seen it quite yet. So C tier.
C tier for Romp. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I agree with C tier. I like Marjon a lot. I think like for how many offensive concerns there are, he does a great job of still finding ways to assert himself and make an impact offensively. That I see way more than I think the Matisse comparisons are a little overblown because stylistically I think they defend different, but they have kind of a similar frame, a similar style. Marjon's way more kind of get in your face, kind of bullying defense, which I also love. He seems to like thrive when he has like a young or a smaller player in front of him, just kind of swallows him up. I would be pretty happy with Marjon. I think I like him more than most people, but he's still kind of in my C tier just because 27.3% from three is very concerning, and he is 21 years old, so he's kind of should be farther away in the developmental process than he really is. He's had an interesting kind of career in terms of he took like a gap year after high school to prepare for the draft, then went to community college and then the G League Ignite. So he's been a little bit all over the place. Interesting story, but I would be happy with him, but there are definitely question marks.
We have Sharp Leaf joining, saying, yo, what's good? What's going on? What is happening? Thanks for joining. Sean says, I wonder how many these guys can handle the Sixers Philly crowd, or if they'll fold when expectations are high. Any of these guys from the area or not? Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know.
Wendell Moore might be.
He might be?
There's one of these
sure
guys.
he is.
I'm trying to remember which one. It might be Wendell Moore.
Wendell Moore went to Duke, went to Cox Mill. Now he's from Virginia.
Yeah, I was way off.
So I don't know. I have no idea.
I have no clue. There's got to be someone.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to look that up later on. Great question. Anybody have any C tiers? I have one. Definitely one. All right, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to go David Roddy. I want to hear.
I was about to say that.
David Roddy is really interesting. He's definitely one of the more unique players in this draft. 6'5", 260. But he's got nimble feet. He's got pretty good athleticism. There's a report at the combine that I heard from Tiago saying like he was too fat and his 3-pointer he couldn't shoot a three from the NBA range. So that definitely makes me concerned.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's definitely concerning. But at least when you watch tape and things like that, like he can create separation. He knows how to use his frame. He knows how to dominate down low. He's got a bag of moves. I like David Roddy, and he can shoot. So what are your thoughts on David Roddy? Let's start off with Romp.
I like him a lot. I think he has a little bit of everything. He just needs to get his body right, and I think with like NBA resources, he could definitely do that if he wants to. And this is another guy where you could pretty much get him early second round, late. I don't know where he would land, but you could trade back, get a player, and then draft David Roddy, and then you'll have two players because you traded it for a player. So I like him. He just needs to get his body right. And I think he could be like a physical enforcer, kind of like a PJ Tucker type defender if he really wants to be that.
Yeah, I love it. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I love him. He's been a guy that I've totally loved watching play in college.
Yeah.
I definitely have my like questions about the NBA jump for him. There's also a part of me that like when you look at these guys, Kenny Lofton Jr. is another guy that I throw into this category of like there's an appeal to me of like how good can this guy be if he actually does lose a little weight, get in real good shape, because it's like there is potential for there to be just like untapped like athleticism and movement and just his overall ability there. So there is a little bit of me that like kind of thinks that, but at the same time like I don't know if you can necessarily bank on that. But I mean, I wouldn't be willing to take him at 23, but if there's a move down, and I even think unfortunately there's a chance that he ends up undrafted, if that's a target there, that would be awesome. Like that would be an awesome guy to bring in there.
Yeah. Don't you see, like, I see this guy just absolutely dominating the G League next year. Like David Roddy is going to put up some crazy stats. Just some G League team will just let him run an offense, and it just he's going to jack up 30 shots a game.
Yeah.
All right, so we're good with C tier. Anybody else have any C tiers?
I go. Okay, you can go, Sean.
Okay. Blake Wesley is a name that.
Yeah.
For me, C tier. He's there's a lot to like about him. I think he would have been a guy that would have benefited from going back for another year of college. I think he could have launched himself in kind of the lottery area if he had done that, but he did not, and he's in the draft this year. Super raw, got a lot of tools that are super appealing, has the athleticism. He's a little bit smaller. He's like 6'5" than a lot of these guys, but he still is pretty versatile in what he can do. He's got some shot creation, got some shot making ability. He has the feel of like a big time player. So for me, he's a C tier just because he's on the raw side, but I like his game a lot.
All right, what about you, Romp?
Yeah, he's really raw, but definitely the shot creating ability is intriguing, and it kind of reminds me of Jaden Hardy in a way. Probably a little less potential, but he really is a bucket getter. He had some questionable, shot taking at Notre Dame at times, but he's going to be one of those players probably killing the G League and the Summer League in the next coming year. So I agree, C.
Yeah, I'm between C and D. I've seen this guy mocked to the Sixers quite a bit, especially from Kevin O'Connor. He's interesting. You know, it starts with his pick and roll play. You know, he's definitely got a great feel there. He can hit a big man when he's open. He can read a defense. He's got a pretty good pull up from mid range. Pretty good finisher. Pretty good jump shot, and he's a pretty good perimeter defender. I think he's going to be better off ball than on ball. He's like one of those. He's probably like a tier below Christian Braun. Like if they were to draft him, I'd be like, okay. I wouldn't be terribly upset, but for me, I'm going to say D tier. I'm going to say D tier. I'm just going to say. All right.
I'll put him in D too. I wouldn't mind D tier.
All right, so we're gonna put him. We'll do a Kendall Brown. We'll put him like here,
just floating.
Just floating. He's got no place to go. What? Anybody else have any C tiers?
I got a guy in the E tier because it might be an undrafted player. So
let's go.
Tyrese Martin.
Okay.
Because he grew up in my area actually. He went to Allen High School. And he has the NBA body, it seems like. And he played a role at UConn where he was kind of just like, he just did the little things, rebound, shot 3-pointers. Sometimes he could take it off the dribble. And at the combine, he had like 14 rebounds in a game. I just think he does the little things, and he's really gonna play hard because it seems like a lot of people are sleeping on him, and he probably won't even get drafted, to be quite honest. But I think we should sign him for the Summer League, and who knows? That body really intrigues me. Like, he's like 6'6", pretty long, and just a smart, high IQ player.
Oh, definitely not on my radar. Any thoughts on Tyrese Martin, Sean?
Yeah, I like him. I agree. I think he's probably an undrafted guy. He's a guy on Pick Spot Media. Ryan from Beef Up Front is super high on him, thinking that he's going to be kind of a guy that finds a way to stick in the NBA. And he's pretty versatile, pretty smart. I like the high IQ take. I think that's very fair. And he has the NBA body, which is something that like is kind of tough to find at that range. So I like him a lot. I think E tier is fair. I don't think he gets drafted, but definitely would be worth a shot
on. All right. So we're still at C tier. Anybody else have any other C tiers?
What was the name I was just thinking? Jalen Williams, number 2, I have as a D tier. The Arkansas one. Him, I love a lot. I don't know if he's necessarily like the cleanest fit, but he's a guy that when you talk about like just has like a joy in playing the game, the way super high IQ, can do a little bit of everything. I think he's a guy who I think is going very underrated in this draft and should be in the first round conversation. I think he's probably going to end in the early second, which I think is not quite fair to him. And he's a guy that I think, as far as for the vibes, would be awesome on the Sixers team. Him and Maxey would be terrific, just both smiling all the time. And he plays hard, he competes, and he can do a little bit of everything.
Romp, any thoughts on Jalen Williams out of Arkansas?
He impressed me in the tournament. Like, his defense was crazy as a rim protector, and his passing is low-key nice. Kind of reminds me of Robert Williams. He's going to take some time, but if he pans out, and it seems like he could, because I think he has a high IQ based off what I've seen. And, yeah, I feel like he's underrated. I think he should be up there, like, early second, maybe late first. Just what I saw in the tournament. Like, he was very impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
I got no thoughts on Jalen Williams. I have not looked into him. I'll be honest. Anybody or what? So where are we putting this guy? C tier?
I would say D.
Yeah, I would say D.
Yeah.
Not for the Sixers. I would not want him for the Sixers just because he's kind of like Paul Reed in a way.
Okay.
It would just be like overlapping. Another big man that Doc probably wouldn't play. So
yeah. All right, I'm gonna throw a name out. I'm gonna go a name for the D tier. This is a guy that I would like hypothetically in a trade back into the second round. You have an extra second round pick. The guy I'm talking about is out of Marquette, Justin Lewis, 6'7", 245, just immense size. He's 6'7", but dude looks like he's 6'9". He's got a really wide frame, great wingspan. He improved greatly from his freshman year. Shot 55% from the line, under 30% from three. Then this year, 76% from the line, 36% from three, and a higher volume of 9 threes per 100 possessions. He could defend 1 through 4. This guy's kind of interesting. You know, his handle's not great, but he kind of is that athlete, multiple position defender that would be a great selection in that second round. Any thoughts on Justin Lewis out of Marquette?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he looks completely NBA ready in terms of his body, his athleticism, his kind of skill set in some regards. There's a lot that needs to be polished, but it surprised me kind of the lack of buzz. I don't think the gap between him and a lot of these guys.
Oh no!
Oh no!
We're losing Sean.
We're losing him.
Last time Sean froze and he was smiling. He's not smiling this time.
He looks a little pissed off. Are you back?
Can you hear us, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're good.
Am I all good?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think the gap between him and like a lot of these guys is as big as it's made out to be. I think NBA ready in terms of his body. He's got to polish some aspects of his game, but I like him a lot.
All right. So you're good with D tier for Justin Lewis?
I would put him in C.
C tier? I'm good with that too.
I think he's underrated, like Sean said. I don't know why no one's talking about him. I really don't get it.
Justin Lewis.
Yeah.
He's got.
Yeah.
All right. We're good with C tier. All right. Sounds good. Anybody else have any other C tiers? Going once.
Yeah,
Going. That's it. Going twice. All right. Let's move on to D tiers. Who has it? Anybody have any D tiers?
I'll throw Bryce McGowan's in there. Guy, another guy very raw in his development, but I like a lot. A guy that can flat out get a bucket. He reminds me of Jaden Hardy a lot. Jaden Hardy's kind of the more, I guess, upper echelon of talent in that regard, but similar kind of issues where they can score, but not great efficiency splits. I do believe in Bryce McGowan's in the long run. I think he's going to be a guy that takes 2 or 3 years to fully put it together. But that I think he has like the tools to be like a legit scorer at the NBA level.
All right. I have no thoughts on Bryce McGowan's. What about you, Romp?
Yeah, I really don't. I don't have any thoughts. Project player, it seems like, can put the ball in the hoop. I would be pretty mad if we drafted him, to be honest, because we need a more NBA ready guy.
Yeah.
How about Patrick Baldwin? Any thoughts on Patrick Baldwin? I mean, high pedigree. Was the number 1 ranked player in his high school class just a couple years ago. Then he hurt his ankle. He chose to go to Milwaukee over Duke to play for his dad, who was the coach. And he just suffered from an ankle injury pretty much the whole season. Now he's like probably a second-round pick, arguably one of the biggest wild cards in this draft. He's got really good upside and offensive potential. It could be like a Michael Porter Jr. 2.0 here. Same kind of size, pedigree, good-looking stroke. He did not play well last year. There's no way to ignore that. And his vert at the combine was like the 4th lowest of someone his size and since like 2011. It was like god awful, absolutely god awful. Any thoughts on Patrick Baldwin? Maybe speaking clearly, his second round. Any thoughts on Patrick Baldwin? Anybody?
I like his body. His archetype is pretty crazy, but that vertical you just pointed out scares me. That is very scary, but you asked could you completely forget about his college time? I could with that shot form and with him being 6'10". I will completely forget about it and act like he has no weaknesses if we draft him. But I would put him in the D tier because it seems like his work ethic is a little iffy.
Yeah, it definitely seems a little lazy, especially defensively. Like with a guy like 6'10", 7 foot wingspan, like he should be doing a lot better defensively in college than what we saw. Any thoughts on Patrick Baldwin, Sean?
Yeah, I think I might even drop him into the E tier. He's worth an upside swing in the second round for sure, but like there's certainly reasons to be like not thrilled with what you've seen. But at the same time, like he only played 11 games in college. That's tough to get like a full evaluation of like a shooting split there. He was had the ankle injury that he battled throughout the whole season and eventually kind of shut him down. He lacks some athletic pop for sure. The vertical thing is definitely not encouraging. It definitely seems like across the board, like he doesn't really have that separation thing. But then again, like he is 6'10", that's not necessarily going to be his game. And I think there probably is a role for him in the NBA. It's just very kind of, I think, shot dependent on how big that role is.
Yeah, I agree. I'll throw another E tier out, and that is Caleb Houston. Caleb Houston doesn't really give you much, but he's got really good. I mean, he doesn't really check off a lot of boxes, but what he does do, he's a really good shooter. Caleb Houston, he's a legit floor spacer. He hit 35.3% of his threes last year. Great in the catch and shoot. 1.063 points per catch and shoot possession. Great in spot up. That's basically what he is. He's a 6'8" catch and shoot guy on the wing, but like almost like but he's not as good defensively as like a Danny Green kind of. Anybody have any thoughts on Caleb Houston?
I don't know much about him, so no thoughts.
He's been a guy that like I feel like just keeps me wanting more. Like I just like he's been a guy I want to like, but haven't fully been able to get on board with. So I think I'll leave him at kind of the E tier kind of realm.
Yeah,
Can't like it's worth a chance, but I don't have a ton of hope for his like upside being much more than we currently see.
Yeah, he's exactly what he's going to be at the next level. Like I think exactly. I do have an F tier, and it's a guy that I absolutely do not want. And I've seen him mocked to the Sixers a few times. Wow, we're already 42 minutes in this. That's crazy. It's going fast. Nikola Jovic. I don't want any parts of Nikola Jovic in Philadelphia. I know he has offensive potential, but he has zero defensive potential. What are your thoughts on Nikola Jovic?
I agree. I put him in that F tier. We don't do well with those types of players, to be honest. Too slow for me, but I mean, if he goes to like the Spurs or something, he'll probably turn into something great. But with the Sixers, it's not going to work out. Let's just be honest.
Sean, do you have any thoughts on Nikola Jovic?
Yeah, intriguing skill set. He's a very good passer. He's not like he's like a tough blend of kind of the wing and kind of guard mold. He's 6'10", but he's kind of much better with the ball in his hand. Pretty good in transition. Pretty good passer. I don't love him on the Sixers. He's a guy like I could potentially see them even taking if he is there because I think he does have a decent pedigree. But for me personally, looking at the Sixers' priorities, the defensive side of the ball is more important than anything to me.
Yeah,
and he does not check that box at all.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Anybody else have any prospects they want to throw on here?
Josh Minnier is my last one that I like a lot. Out of Memphis. Guy, very limited kind of sample size that we're looking at. He played like 14 minutes a game at Memphis, but a guy that kind of paid his dues throughout the season and kind of got his chance at the end, jumped on it. Freak athlete. Not a lot offensively there. He came 2 for 14 from 3 on the entire season, but he just pops athletically. He can jump off the page. I'm very surprised that he entered the draft and didn't come back. A guy that Penny Hardaway like continually raves about like how sky high his potential is and everything. Worth like a second round bite.
You're thinking of Josh Minot?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, he's just a pure athlete. Just run up and down the court and just dunk. Yeah. Where are you putting him? I'm interested.
Like between E and F maybe, but I think he should be on the board, I guess.
I will say this. I'll definitely take Josh Minot over Nikola Jovic. No question. At least Minot, like, he can run a little bit, defend a little bit.
Tries hard. Tries really hard.
Yeah. All right, we'll put him E tier. I'm good with E. Just because I don't want him in that same tier as Jovic. All right, mine out there. Anybody else have any prospects they want to throw out?
I think we got a good list.
I got an F tier.
All right.
Kenneth Lofton Jr. I actually like him. But for the Sixers, I wouldn't want him because he's a post player and he's like 6'7" or so. Yeah, he's 6'7" and he's pretty fat. he reminds me of Montrezl Harrell, but he's just a fun player. Like, he's gonna dominate the G League and the Summer League probably. He's cool. I hope he makes the NBA.
Yeah, I love him. All accurate takes there. I don't know even what skill set or position he really projects in the NBA, but he's a guy that like competes his heart out. He will talk trash. He will post up whoever. There's a couple fun videos of him and Chet going back and forth of them guarding each other, which is just hilarious. And Kenny Lofton still got his on occasion. So I do trust the competitiveness. Another guy that in my brain kind of thinks like, dude, if this guy drops like 30 pounds, who knows what he could be. But at the same time, like he's not worth anything more than maybe an undrafted flyer.
All right. Where are we putting this guy?
Put him off the board.
Moving on.
F tier?
Yeah.
Yeah, F tier is fine.
He reminds me of Thaddeus Young a bit too.
Okay.
All right. So we got some F tiers. Do we have anybody else we want to bring up? I don't know if I have anybody else.
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everybody there.
I think we did a great job. We did a new picture of Christian Braun. Did we talk about LaRavia? Yes, we did. We put him in the B tier. I'll highlight him. There he is right there on the screen. I had him as an A tier. Everyone else crapped on Jake LaRavia. But I'm definitely higher. Quentin's. What are some good prospects for replacing Doc Rivers? Oh man, there's probably about 90% of these probably could run laps around Doc. But anyway, let's just close up shop. Romp, where can we find you, man? What do you got going on? Thank you so much for joining, dude.
Sixers Talk with Romp. If you want some Sixers related content, I just rant most of the time, to be honest, and yeah, Romp 2.0 as well if you want NBA content. But thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, man. Hopefully we'll do this again sometime soon, man. Thank you. What about you, Sean? What do you got going on?
Yeah, you can check out follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. You can check out my written work on Clutch Points and Philly Sports Network. I had a full round mock draft that dropped on Clutch Points today that was pretty cool. And then check out Pick Swap Podcast and Pick Swap Media for a bunch of other cool podcasts as well.
Yeah, awesome stuff, guys. Amazing content creators right here, man. Just share the love. Be sure to subscribe. I am jumping on, and Sean, I guess, on Philly Sports Network's mock draft tonight. Yeah. So that'll be fun at 8 o'clock. Be sure to check that out. Nothing Tuesday. We're doing Eagles tomorrow, but Wednesday morning we will conclude our NBA draft scouting reports. We are covering Caleb Houston, Patrick Baldwin, and David Roddy, and just getting ready for the NBA draft. We're doing a watch party and we'll be breaking it all down. All right, last question. Who's your number one pick, Romp? Is it Chet Holmgren or is it Jabari Smith? Who are you going?
I'm going Banchero.
Oh, I love it. I'm
a Banchero lover. I don't believe in the Chet hype. No, I'm playing. He'll be solid, but I like Banchero's skill set the most. I think he's the most NBA ready. But I'd probably Jabari Smith if I'm being realistic, and then Chet, and then Banchero. But I think Banchero is going to be the best player in the draft when it's all said and done.
Love it. What about you, Sean?
I would take Chet number one. I think it's overstated how like concerning his body is. The guy can still play basketball. He looks weird doing it for sure, but that doesn't change the fact that he gets it done. His defensive instincts are crazy, which I think will keep him in the league. He's obviously a little bit weird, kind of like positional fit, but he's enough of a talent that you find a way to make it work, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's really intriguing. His upside as a unicorn is really, really fun to think about. I have no idea. I have the number one pick, and that's why I asked. So I have no idea, Sean. No idea. I think I'm leaning towards one way. We will see. I'm sure it will change within the next few hours. Guys, thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back for more NBA draft coverage on Wednesday morning. I just dropped my top 10 draft targets like literally an hour or so ago. Go check that out. For Romp, for Sean, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.